Welcome to Creating the Muse podcast, brought to you by Into Pages. This is a space where creativity takes center stage and entrepreneurship becomes an art form. Join us as we dive into the stories of visionary individuals who have harnessed their inner muse to build thriving businesses and craft lives of passion and purpose. There are some creators who don't just design spaces, they shape the way we feel within them. Heath is one of those rare voices, a UK-based stylist, writer, designer, and creative mentor. Ali is known for her layered, timeless approach to home and for the emotional honesty that threads through everything she creates. Over the past 2 decades, her work has appeared across the pages of Home and Gardens and Elle Decoration, just to name a few. She is the author of 3 acclaimed books, Curate, Create, and of course, I've got it here today, Cocoon.
No.
I love it so much. A trilogy that explores how to craft meaningful, sensory, and soulful homes that tell our stories and nurture our well-being. Ali's philosophy is simple but profound. The home is not a trend or a backdrop. It's a living, breathing reflection of who we are. Through her words and styling, she invites us to slow down, listen to our instincts, and find beauty in imperfection and everyday life. So settle in, grab a cuppa, soften your breath, and enjoy this beautiful exchange. Ali, welcome to Creating the Muse podcast.
Hello. Hi, Deanna. Thank you so much. That's such a gorgeous intro. Thank you.
Oh, right. It is all
Great.
you.
It's an
It
honor
is
to
such a
be.
beautiful reflection of who you are. I think the first time
Oh,
we ever
thank you,
connected, I
darling.
was just so smitten when we started following each other on Instagram. I'm like, who is this woman? So, so, so in awe and love with everything that you do. And I think there was a chat that we had originally where we reached out and said, one day we will co-create something special together. And I was like, yes, yes, we will. And
Oh,
here you
honestly,
are.
it's an honor to be on here. Thank you very much for having me. I love what you're doing. And I love
Ah,
that the voice you're
thank
giving to
you.
other creatives. It takes a lot of courage to do things like this, doesn't it, for yourself?
Oh, yes,
Thank you.
100%. We were just having that conversation before we hit record on just how courageous it is to put yourself
Yeah,
out there. So I really appreciate you being here and doing the same. So
thank
it
you.
means a lot because I don't take it lightly because it does take a lot and it takes a lot of prep
Yeah,
and energy and showing up and just conquering that fears. I think I recall of telling you, even now that I've done so many podcast episodes, I still, like, sounds inappropriate, TMI, but I still get the whole, you got to pee half a million times before you,
yeah, but
your
we're all the
anxiety
same.
just doesn't go away, does it?
No, and I think most of us, I think outwardly probably look really confident, but you've got that whole introvert extrovert thing going on. I think most creatives are probably, if they're honest, are probably, we're all very similar, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
I honestly think that's true, especially being this container is attracting a lot of the similar personalities and the creators. And every time I have these conversations, everyone's in agreement. They're like, yes, totally. It's there. It doesn't go away. You just learn to become resilient, push past it and feel the fear and do it
yes.
anyway. So
And I actually
yeah.
think it gives you a bit of fire in your belly. I think there's that awful feeling,
Oof,
isn't there, before
oof.
you stand up to speak or before you sit down to have a podcast like this. I sort of have that awful thing where I think, oh, I could just quite happily not. But actually, it's just it is all in your head. You know you want to do it.
Oh,
It's
yes.
yeah, and it's just I think that's probably why we're all attracted to sort of like-minded souls. That's why those I think Instagram's a really good platform for that. I think you cut to the chase really quickly who you know you would connect with and who is or isn't on your wavelength, I think.
Yeah, so and it is such a vibe, isn't it? Because when you know sort of thing. Like sometimes people catch me and I'm like, I missed that one. But then other times you're like, holy crap, this is perfect alignment. So how is this possible?
Oh, I've loved all our conversations. It's been a pleasure. It
Oh
really.
my God, me too. So listen, let's dive on into the questions. And I guess where I wanted to start is Was it 31 years ago that you decided to jump from corporate life into this incredible creative life that you've built for yourself and swapping, I think we said before, swapping your company car for your van? Was it 31 years ago? It-
I was 31, so it
oh, you
was how
were
many years ago?
31. Oh,
24
I
years
love,
ago.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow. How did that
nearly
feel?
31. Um, it felt scary, a little bit daunting, but completely exhilarating. I think I'd known I was working at that point for I headed up new business for a below the line marketing agency. So I was, our team, we were pitching every week, every 2 weeks for new business. And it was really intense. It was brilliant and I loved every minute of it, but it was incredibly intense. And I knew that at some point I did want to start a family. And I knew that I wanted to still be able to have something for me. I didn't want to go back to agency world um, with a young family. And I knew that I had this sort of I had this voice in the back of my head for such a long time about wanting to do my own thing. We actually had an NLP trainer actually, and she was
Oh,
a lady called
wow.
Sue Knight, she came into the agency to do some work with all of us. Um, and she was amazing, and she was one of the sort of founding people of NLP. Um,
Huh.
but what actually happened is her work was so brilliant. I think she encouraged quite a lot of us to actually to go and take the plunge and go and do our own thing without intending to do that.
That's
And, I think a lot of us,
incredible.
I think quite a few of us just suddenly thought, actually, partners of the board included, sort of seized the moment. I felt I was young enough for it to sort of, um, I think it's quite secure, isn't it, when you work for a big company, well, it was a small company, but I would always been corporate. So it was in a, you're sort of in that world where it's all very fast and exciting and you earn good salaries and then suddenly for that all to stop, that was a scary bit. I think it was just sort of that need to believe in yourself, that you could do it because suddenly there isn't an income coming in. It is up to you. But I like that. I think that's always been, um, in a way, it's sort of been a slight sort of savior within everything. You have all these different phases of life that you go through. And I think I ended up falling pregnant with Gracie weirdly within a month. I left my job,
Wow.
we moved house. And I fell pregnant with Gracie, our eldest daughter, within a
After
month
you left your job, which
after I left
probably
agency.
perfectly, because if it was worked the other
Yeah.
way around, yeah,
Yeah, no,
interesting.
I think it was probably all really sort of quite aligned, and I was probably happy in that I felt relaxed for all those things to be going on. But yeah, it does focus the mind a little bit because suddenly you think, actually, I feel like I've got something even more to prove now. I can't, you know, um, I wanted it to be a success, and I wanted to do that alongside raising children. So
Wow,
it's been a really lovely career. I've
that's
loved it's been
incredible.
lots of pivots, but it's nice being in control of your own destiny.
And such a career, like everything that you've done, stylist, writer, designer, creative mentor, like I just blown away by how you've been able to really embody this world of stepping into owning your creativity. It's like, and the fact that you walked away from, I guess it's kind of like having corporate is like that. You feel safe, it like that security blanket, something to catch you sort of thing. But then
Yeah,
the bravery of you stepping away from that, and then it's like a gift that you felt pregnant because then gave you even more push and drive to be successful
yes,
in the field
exactly.
that where you desired to be, and you listened to your internal dialogue that said you were meant for so much more than this, and you did it. It's incredible.
Oh, thank you. I think it's probably one of the reasons why I'm really passionate now. I'm sort of 55, and I think at our age, I feel like I've got so much more I want to do. Um,
Yes, I love
it
that.
doesn't feel, I feel like it's a celebration of wanting to sort of carry on and do more. And I think pivoting is a brilliant thing for people of any age. I always remember when I left, my first job was for Marks and Spencer's. on their grad program. And when I left, I sort of met this headhunter. And I can't remember his name, but I can remember the words that he said. And it's like you can be anything you want to be. You just have to believe in it, and
Oh,
believe you can. And that's always stuck with me. And I think because sort of now, I think encouraging others to be creative is really important to me. My strap is sort of bringing creativity to life, and that's as equally for me as it is for others. And I think the whole, notion of mentoring and looking out for the people that are coming up through the ranks, and you know, I'd like to encourage that and encourage creativity in others because I think it can be quite a closed industry. I didn't come in with any contacts. I didn't have, I
you
didn't grow
started
up with
from
lots of
ground zero.
people. Yeah,
Wow.
and I think that's the hardest bit, I think, when you set out on your own, isn't it? That I think you know what you want to do, but there are always going to be sort of quite a lot of closed doors and no's, and we don't know who you are, or you don't have a network of people that are in the industry to help you. And it does make you, it definitely makes you sort of focus your mind, and become really determined.
So can I ask then, what was your first step in order to open up those doors? Like, even though you heard no's, so what were the actions that you took? Because clearly you weren't going to let that stop you. So thinking back to what you did, what were the tools that you
Well, I think
managed to get the ball rolling?
when when I left agency world, I literally set up as an antiques dealer. So I sort of swapped my little sports car for this very, I loved it, my little silver van, and Grace would come in the front with me, we're sort of 9 months in, and we'd be out, I'd be out everywhere buying. So I didn't know what I was buying. I just bought what I loved. So I didn't have a background
Mm,
in antiques or interiors. I think I just tried to hone my eye a little bit. So I used to go to all the fairs, and just started building relationships with lots of dealers.
mm.
And I think that was a really important lesson, that I think those relationships and those connections that you set up early on, um, people change and people evolve. But I think there's still a lot of people that I know now that I knew sort of back in the day. And I think that gives you determination and grit, because you've got to be at the fairs at 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock. You're buying
Mm.
off in the dark. You're not knowing whether it's going to sell, and you're having to make contacts of where things are going to sell. But I think one of my biggest breaks, I took some space in an antique centre locally. We were going to buy a shop, and move to Tetbury, but sort of I think we realised quite early on that that was going to be a slight disaster where my husband worked and travelling back and forth. So I actually took some space in an antiques place, which was quite new for them. And I had a sort of an annex, not dissimilar to my office actually, sort of big annexy area. Um, and we started selling old and new. And I think that's probably where my love for old and new kind of came from. I'd have some interior brands like Mulberry and Damask and different textile companies alongside the antiques. And then as a result of being in there, I was approached by quite a few retailers to source antiques for their stores, some quite big high street retailers.
Wow. Wow.
That kind of opened up a corporate connection,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
those dialogues going. And then um, when I had Archie, our second child, I kind of realized sort of 3 years in, that actually having a toddler and a baby was pretty hard to be doing all the antique stuff.
I
So
bet.
at which
Yeah.
point, it was too much. It was like Gracie used to come everywhere with me. What one was fine, but I think two was just that was never going to
Too hard to
happen.
juggle. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up doing some consultancy for the antiques company where I was. And that led us to work with magazines. So we ended up,
Wow.
they had an advertising budget. So I met quite a lot of influential editors because we placed ads with the mags. And a couple of those editors were amazing and introduced me to a couple of photographers um, who, yeah, I mean, I guess how did that happen? We actually did a feature. Sorry, am I waffling? Am I talking
No,
too
I
much?
love this.
No.
No, definitely
Um,
not. It's perfect.
I actually did a feature at home through a friend of mine. It was a friend of my husband's that he grew up next door to. Her auntie had a picture library, and she was looking for houses to shoot. A friend Sally asked me if I'd be interested, and did it because obviously it would be great for business. And off the back of that, I realised that I really liked styling. Um, and
Wow.
the photographer that
Wow.
came to the house, I'd been thinking in the back of my head, it's too much being just focused on antiques. I'd had conversations with the antique centre where I was about doing consultancy for them. So we'd sort of moved, we were changing their business and about how they could evolve into a lifestyle store as opposed to an old-fashioned concept of an antique centre. And then the shoot happens. So it was sort of the editors that I was meeting through shifting my work with the antiques venue suddenly filtered into actually now
Wow.
those contacts might be able to help me get into styling and writing because I've realized that actually this is a whole world I don't know anything about. And a couple of them were amazing. They gave me a couple of really good photographer names. And took a risk on me. And I just used to go out, honestly, Indiana, I just used to sort of go and approach people who I liked. So if I think I've always been
Yes.
like that, if I like what you do, then I think I can work with you. And if I like what you do, I can write about you. And if I don't
Of
get that vibe,
course.
I find that
Yes.
really, you're probably exactly the same. I think you have
Yes,
to feel it, don't
definitely.
you? So
Yeah.
so I started really very speculatively. Most of my shoots have always been speculative, and then have been pitched to to editors as a finished piece. So in the early days, it was really very much about the antique side evolved. I did private sourcing, and then the styling and writing sort of took over in terms
Oh
of
my
probably
God.
80% of my time. Um,
I'm
yeah.
so anxious and nervous now that I'm doing this speech.
What's
I'm
that?
so I'm so anxious and nervous, like hearing you talk, and I was like, oh my God, your skill set is incredible. And here I am
Oh
writing about
no.
you. No, no, I'm just like, you know how it is. You get there.
Gosh, it's
Yeah, I'm
not.
just like, holy crap, you are phenomenal. Like, this is
No.
incredible.
Well, you are, and I think, but you know what? I think we've all got imposter syndrome, haven't we? I think, in
Yes,
the back of my
yeah,
head, sometimes, when I write on my website or people ask, what do you do? And you sort of reel off some of these things that I am doing and I'm genuinely doing.
yes,
I just
yes.
sometimes feel like, oh, that sounds like I'm jack of all trades, master of none. But I think what I've realized is that, the design work that's fallen out of the books, that's been another pivot. And, writing the books was a major pivot that I'd wanted to do for
Mm,
a long time. And the mentoring has been sort of another pivot. And selling, looking to design more products and things going forward into next year. That they're all pivot, but they all relate back to interiors. So I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I think what I have learned, the older I get, I've just learned to kind of be a little bit more comfortable in my own skin about saying
Mm,
that rather than don't hide under a rock and sort of push it down. I think we're all really good about being negative about ourselves, aren't we? And I think
it's so
actually,
true.
um, you know, if you enjoy doing things, then actually just say that you enjoy, that's part of what you're
Yes,
thinking.
just own it, baby. Just own
Own
it.
it. Yeah, I think that's it. In a nice way, but not in an egotistical way. But I think you
Yes,
have to
in an
believe that you're
embodied
doing it,
way.
or else nobody else will. But
And I
you're
mean,
the same. Look at what you've achieved. I think
oh,
it's
thank you. I so
phenomenal.
appreciate that. And I was just
Um,
thinking, like, if you had never taken that leap and left the corporate world, like just the associated risk, like, of doing it and jumping off the cliff and doing it anyway. But if you had never have done that, you would have never have evolved and stepped into these multifaceted skills that you've obtained. You would never have known that you were able to do all of these
no,
things. If you were
No, I
just in
really
the
wouldn't.
corporate world, you wouldn't have given yourself the container to flourish and grow and adapt and explore so much more about what you are capable of doing. And it's incredible. I
But
can
I
see
think
why you're
that's
mentoring.
I think it is a life. I think it is a life lesson for so many of us because I honestly, with the mentoring, I feel really privileged to do that. I get to chat with some really amazing creatives, mostly women. I've had a couple of guys, but it's mostly sort of women that approach me. And I think the conversations, some of them have had really big corporate careers
Yeah, yeah.
that it's everything from sort of big corporate careers through to people who are literally in the early days of wanting to get their dream up and running. But the really consistent thing through everyone is that everyone's, a bit like we were saying, everyone's worried that they're not capable of it. But the mad thing is that everyone's got the imposter syndrome. Everyone's worried that they're not good enough,
Mm.
that should they make the plunge or should they take the step? But they've all got it in their head. The seed's there. So I think actually you're the brave ones. Um, and I think that's
Yeah.
the thing that I think we all sometimes forget really easily, that even to have those thoughts and to nurture those thoughts,
Mm.
that's quite it's a brave place to be.
It
And it
so
is a
is.
privilege to step out of your comfort zone, I think.
Oh,
Um, as
100%. I
scary
think
as that
that
can be.
I feel like that whole dance between the fear and being fearful of doing things that you desire and want in life that light you up, I feel like that is the winning key or that unlocks everything in life from joy to success. Like, not to say it doesn't come with its challenges, because every time you adapt to something new, of course you're going to be met with new challenges, but then you can either
Yeah.
choose to overcome them or go back into your safe little, I was freaked out sort of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and I feel like it is the secret to that whole thing of why, like, it sounds very, but why the human experience? Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like you can stay small and stuck and be in your comfort zone, or you can literally take on the challenge and see where it unfolds. And what unfolds is going to be way more beyond your expectations than staying safe. Do you know what I mean?
I
So,
completely
yeah.
agree. And I think it's why being curious is really important.
Yes.
I think curiosity
Yes.
for me is everything. Um, and I think it's really important to take yourself out of it's a bit like you moving. I think what you've just done moving to Queensland, you've taken yourself completely out of a comfort zone and shifted your dynamic, which will have a major, you won't know what that's going to be probably for the next 12 months, but that will have a major impact on your life. And I think
Yes. Yeah.
it's simple things, isn't it? I think on a daily basis that we listen to different podcasts, we listen to different music, we read different literature and different types of, I always buy lots of different magazines, not just interior mags.
Ooh, really?
Um,
Which
yeah,
ones
because
I have to ask you which ones you buy?
I'll give you a list of
Yeah, that'd be
titles.
lovely. Yeah.
Um, I think it's really important to take yourself out of your genre that you work in, because I think ideas come at you from all different angles, and visiting museums and art exhibitions, and
Mm.
just walking in the countryside, and just opening your mind up a little bit to different things. Because I think when your head has the opportunity to rest, um, your creativity suddenly refires again.
Love
Um,
that. I love that. It's like when you're
I think it's really
meditating or
important.
lying under a tree and watching the clouds go by, and because you're calming the nervous system, and then you make way for the brain to move away and for the heart to, which is back in your book, which you've got the list. I love the list, the heart, the head, and the two polarities.
Yes.
I love
And
that.
I bet you're the same. We're all doing all of that, aren't we? Sort of
Yes,
all the time.
yes.
It's that difference between the pull.
Yeah. Isn't that
And then,
interesting?
but that was really important to me for Cocoon, that I think I wanted to create a book that spoke so much more to um, our emotions and attracted, and you know, how our senses are attracted with home, and something really that's so much more than I think we tend to think of creating a home as being around the architectural and the visual. And it is, obviously those things are really important, and how things look and form is, you know, is obviously very attractive. It brings you into a space. But I think the most important question, when I always say this to clients, ask yourself how you want to fill in a space. And I don't
Mm.
think there's enough literature that sort of talks about that. And I think it's such an important um, subject matter that actually, when you feel, you know, yes, a house is about shelter and safety, but it's also about that space being a place that enables you to really, if you feel comfortable, your creativity will flourish. Um,
Wow.
because you've got yourself the space to do that. I'm a real believer in that. And that is absolutely down to how you feel. If you're not comfortable, you do not like your environment, I think it's really hard for your brain to fire.
Isn't
Um,
that interesting? Because the same thing could be said about clothing, right? How it's more
yeah, completely.
not just about what it looked, but energetically, it's kind of like a mirror into how you feel about yourself and how what you wear is an expression of not just of your individuality and your personality and everything, but literally your how you literally think about yourself and feel about yourself. And just hearing you talk, I'm thinking the same concept about your home. If you feel loved and you feel safe and you feel secure in your environment, then that unlocks this next level of making that home literally your sanctuary and placing
Completely.
pieces around it that you can look at and walk past and go, oh my God, that just makes me so happy and I don't know why. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really true. And I think, you know, lots of that is about memories, isn't it? I think,
Oh,
you know,
I love that.
and I think it's another
Yeah.
reason why, so, you know, you sort of look around and you think of all the pieces that you collect. I think we live in such a fast world nowadays that I think it's really easy for people to go out and want to decorate a house in one hit and want to be finished. I think we've got this complete obsession with, as a society, about having everything at once and
Yes.
feeling that we're entitled to have everything at once.
Yes.
And I think there was something quite lovely about our parents' generation where they actually did save for things.
Mm.
Um, and
Not
there was an
instant
appreciation.
gratification. Yeah.
Yes, it wasn't instant gratification. So I think I'd rather, you know, you probably can't see it, but there's a chest of drawers next to me. We've just changed this space up in the attic. I've made an office up here, but I've been looking for a chest of drawers. I have to send you a picture of that. It's an old Swedish one, and I've known that I've wanted a piece of furniture to store lots of artwork and
Yeah.
samples and things. And I've looked for about 15 years for the right one, and it came up the week of all the floors and everything being stripped up here. Um,
Oh my
and I've had,
gosh.
you know, there's a gap. I knew there was a gap. I knew I wanted to put there, but I didn't want to put something that I didn't want a cheap high street sort of
Yeah,
alternative.
yeah.
Um,
It's
and I
such
can't
intent.
tell you how much pleasure that's giving me. It's just,
Oh,
you know, and I think it's waiting, isn't it? Or is looking at what you've got and those memories and things triggering for people, places, you know, the conversations that were happening around you buying that. I think that's really, for me, that's really special. And that does make a home feel like your home,
oh,
not
I love that.
homogenous.
So just the
Um,
intentionality around it. But I know I've had a conversation with my mum before. It's not the same. Like I love where you can find the perfect leather, old leather chair that you can run your fingers through and it's got grooves and it's got its own little story that's been embedded
yeah,
into, or a wooden table with its knots and you can run your finger across it, or
yeah,
but those things to me have such an impact on me internally. I don't know why, as opposed to just going to a fancy store and buying new furniture. Like it just
yeah,
doesn't make me want to curl up in the chair and read a book and just be it there in the arms of that chair. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know how
No, I
to,
agree.
but that's what you're talking about. It's like you could have just gone and bought, a commercial table there, but you've found something that lights you up and you look at it and you're just like, oh, I'm in awe of your beauty, like
Yes, and
constantly,
I
and
want
your
to know the
story.
provenance. And I'd love to know the house that used to sit in, and but I think it's a bit like we sort of say that we're custodians of properties, don't we? I think
Oh, I love
the same is
that.
true of I think we're custodians of furniture and artwork. I
Oh,
think
oh,
I love collecting art. In fact, we haven't got any art on the wall at the moment. We've just taken everything down, and we're going to rehang it at the weekend. Um, so we're sort of moving
wow.
on the house again. So you see things differently. But I love collecting, and I love the thought that hopefully at one point, when if we're not around anymore, that the kids will,
Inherit
they'll take
them.
those pieces and have the pieces in their own homes if they choose to do that. But I like the fact that those stories kind of carry on.
I
And
love that
I met a girl the other
so.
day, and she said to me, I thought this is so gorgeous, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to actually take this idea and do it. Her mum wrote the story on the back of the artwork about where she'd found and what the provenance
Oh,
of those
I
pieces were.
love that.
So do I. And I've never
Oh,
thought about doing it. So I'm going to
oh.
do exactly the same and just stick it on the back of each piece. Because, they're not, there's a few nice paintings, but most of them are pieces that you find on the way. They're not, expensive pieces. But I love the stories and the people that were kind of involved in the purchase.
Yes,
I
definitely.
must do that for the kids.
I think that's such a special gift because that's something, just the feeling that that would give to yourself if you found that from a piece that you really loved and
Yes.
you found that,
Yeah,
and
no, I
then you think
would.
if you can gift that to your children as well,
Yeah,
like
it's
that
really
is such a,
special.
it's so special. You sound very nostalgic like me. I'm so nostalgic. Like I just love family
It's
history
sweet,
and
isn't it?
oh, I love
Yes,
it so much.
I think I sort of have always been. I think when we grew up, I don't feel like I had a lot of that with my own family. I don't think we knew lots of the history of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Which is
and when
why
I
it's
met,
important to you. Is
I
that
think
why?
probably why it's
Yeah.
important. Yeah. And when I met my husband, his family felt was such an anomaly because they had a really big family still living in the same town, and there were, sort of still, their grandparents, which all alive, which was quite rare. It was quite a big. There were lots of aunties and uncles and lots of family
Wow.
around. Sadly,
Wow.
lots of them aren't now. But I think you see all those stories, don't you, come through. I think it has. I think nostalgia probably is yeah, I think I am
Well,
nostalgic.
it makes you understand who you are as pieces of yourself that, like,
Yes.
oh, that's why I'm like this too. And when you find out
Yes.
elements, you're like, oh, it makes complete sense, part of my DNA. So I love that you're going to gift that away. And I guess that was the next question was, and looking at your incredible images around your home and the pieces that you have and the furniture that you have, and I cannot wait to share them in the next issue of Creating the Muse. But it feels like you've built a career around storytelling through spaces. So I guess my
Yeah,
question is, what's the most unforgettable story a room has ever told you?
a room.
Yes, or even a house, a space, somewhere that you've walked into and you're just like, has had such an impact on you.
I think one of the houses that we shot for Cocoon in Daya was a really special house. And it's a funny story because we'd arrived in from a shoot in Ibiza. I'd had really bad food poisoning and had been really ill
Oof.
um, all night, and we were on a flight, I think, at 7 in the morning.
Oh,
And the gorgeous, yeah, it was awful. And the gorgeous homeowner that we left had been amazing. And Amanda, who we were going to in Daya, she'd had to be she'd had to fly to Portugal um, to go and visit one of her clients unexpectedly. And I can remember feeling sort of initially, oh, I feel really disappointed that I'm not going to meet you, you're not going to be there. But actually, when we got to the house, it was sort of it was all really gorgeously chaotic, sort of family chaotic. Her lovely husband Gary was there cleaning and sort of making sure it was all ready for us. And her two gorgeous
Oh,
little twin daughters were back from school and were running around and wanted to chat and sit on the sofa and know what we were doing. And, dogs running around. So it was chaotic. There was a lot going on the first day. And we weren't really shooting the first day anyway. But then there was this wonderful sense of, okay, I think we've just seen a real glimpse of their reality, which we probably wouldn't have done if Amanda hadn't had to have gone to Portugal. So we've obviously subsequently had, beautiful conversations around what she does and have had that time together. But we kind of saw the house in its purest form, and then they all left us. And that was just that was also a really lovely thing that you were sort of, there's a lot of trust when you're shooting people's houses. A
yeah.
lot of
So
trust that you'll
in
take
the inner
care with
circle, isn't
how
it?
you're,
The sanctuary.
yeah, it's a real
Yeah.
inner circle. You're being trusted that you'll take care of their things and take care of their property and take care of their story. And to be in that space, she's in an old 17th century fisherman's cottage, sort of in the
Wow.
heart of Daya. And they are madly creative. She's got so
Oh,
much creativity oozing from every corner of
oh,
their Scottish couple that had moved across when the twins were born. I think they'd had quite a traumatic birth and had two older children, and they'd arrived in Daya with a lorry load of antiques, four
wow.
kids, dogs, all this creative, clobber and life and
Oh.
I felt like we really experienced that, and we stayed there. And I stayed in the book. It's the house with the flags that are hanging down the
Ah,
front
yeah,
of the.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we found those in a bag in her studio, which was just the studio space was just we didn't actually shoot it because that was so full of everything. But lots of fabrics and sewing machines and all of our projects that were kind of ongoing. And we found these flags literally in a bag in the corner and thought they would be amazing to hang down from the front of the building.
Is
And
it
that
this
little
is
room that you can see, yes,
the yeah,
and
that's
that little
incredible.
bedroom that those banners are framing with the pink silk. That was my room when we stayed there.
Oh, oh
And
no way. Oh,
and when the light went down, or
I
the sun
feel like
went down,
Rapunzel.
um,
Sorry.
honestly, it was just exquisite. And you had this wonderful sort of wonderful pink hue glow that was just filled the room. And I feel like in that one afternoon of flying in with food poisoning, suddenly nothing going as planned, chaos, sort of reigning, in a lovely way. And I mean that in a
Yeah,
lovely
yeah.
way, but there's a lot happening, neighbors coming in, people walking by, sort of putting their heads in. It was a lot happening, but I feel that evening when everyone went that afternoon, we kind of caught our breath, me and the photographer, and I feel like we actually experienced the house before we then shot it. And that was a
Wow.
real gift because normally you kind of arrive and you're straight in, whereas it was small enough for us to know that we had a day and the next half a day to kind of get the shots that we wanted. But to have felt the magic was a really important part of writing her story.
Oh,
So that helps. Yeah, that was a really special shoot.
100% because you're there in the amongst it all and you're visually seeing how the ecosystem of the home is surrounded around this family dynamic and it's like it's
Yes.
told in the walls of the building, in the home and then being able to see that firsthand, I can imagine why you would have been able to write and just flow from you because you saw it firsthand and you
Yeah, it's lovely.
yeah, wow.
And I think that's been the beauty really of I've always styled and written. Um, So I feel like you sort of get that lovely, you get that lovely time with the homeowners that they trust you to style to camera everything that's going on in their house. That's quite personal, moving people's things.
Of
Um,
course. Yeah,
I
definitely.
don't like to introduce, other than sort of branches and anything floral or maybe a few foodie props, or I don't like to bring things into people's homes because I think it has to be as the story has to be about them. It's that it's not us layering up with our things. Um, but I think to do the styling and then to write the story and then to be responsible for selling them their features or including them in books, you get to know people really well.
Oh,
And
what
that
a
connection has been really
beautiful
important to me.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been so
It's
lovely.
so rich, like being able to have the opportunity to do something like that. And I love that you're talking about what's important um, to the core of the home is the people, which is why it feels like you're so much depth to what you do because you're not just moving stuff around stylistically, you're actually feeling into what's important to them and bringing nature from outside in and leaving the environment that's a true reflection to them is just such a
Yes.
beautiful, you don't read about that in interior
No,
design, do you?
no,
No,
no, I don't think
no,
no, I don't think you
no.
do. And I think it's a really and I think I have experienced it on the other end where you haven't necessarily had the things, someone hasn't taken the time to get under the skin. And
Mm,
I think that was a really valuable lesson for me in the early days that if you've experienced that, I think
mm.
you have to, a lot of editors don't need you to get the homeowner to sign copy off. But that's always, those things have always been really important to me, that creative
Mm.
license wise, it's a gift to be able to be invited in and to write about somebody, but they have to be happy. And in my mind,
Yes.
that means you have to let them see what's coming. I don't think I've ever had anyone not be happy. But it's the fact that you're asking and you're sharing, and that becomes, it's a bit exactly what you've been saying about the podcast, about collaborating and creating something together. It's sort of, you've been passionate about, and I can imagine you're like this with every single person that comes on. You want that to feel personal. So you've taken the time to nurture those conversations ahead of us talking today. And I'm really grateful for that because I think we haven't come in cold to a conversation. We've come in, and I feel like I've got to know you
Yes.
before we sat down to chat. So you both
Yes.
feel comfortable. And I think that's what writing for interiors or designing spaces or any of those things, they're all interlinked, whether you're styling a shoot for a commercial client or whether you're creating a feature for a homeowner or designing a house for someone. It's about their story and their
Yes.
personality, and
Yes.
you're advising them and guiding them, but you're not dictating and putting your own look onto somebody else. You're sort of giving them creative freedom to be themselves.
Oh, I love this so much. We operate the same way because it is, I feel like it's not a transaction, it is a
No,
collaboration. And
yes,
it is an investment, but an investment of my time and my soul and my heart, and to make that person that's come to make them feel cared for and appreciated and like they are incredibly important to you because they are, because you wouldn't be able to do what you do without having
no,
that investment into their time and their
no, and
life.
you're a beautiful
So,
person, Doll. I think you
oh,
have made that.
thank
And I
you. I
think
appreciate
I
that.
think that really shows, and for a fellow creative who has those qualities are really important to me. So to see that in somebody else, actually, that's really special. And I think that should be celebrated because there's a lot of people that are not like that nowadays, and
No,
it's
definitely
about sort of
not.
fast articles and quick copy and
And like you
AI
said,
and
buying things. instantaneously, and do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Not working for it, not appreciating it, not putting in the
yeah.
time. So, and then you
It
don't
takes more
appreciate
time,
it
doesn't
because it
it?
was too easy to get. So then you don't really
Yeah,
value and appreciate the time and the
yes.
effort. Yeah, that's so true. Oh,
And
so
then for
and
me, it's then about what you then take away from that, isn't it? Sort of, so I think, with everybody that's been in any of the books or any of the features that or clients, design clients, I think you kind of come away and you think, I have a memory of that. And I hope their memory is also equally, sort of they've enjoyed that experience. But I think it's not just about being in the moment, it's about what
mm,
the catalyst for what you're creating, the longevity of that relationship,
mm, well
um,
said.
and the longevity of that memory of that encounter. And I think it's a bit like we sort of, mantras: buy less, buy better. I'd rather have less people in my life, but quality people,
Oof. Yes,
um,
we've
and
had this
quality
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, and quality conversations than
Oh,
than to feel that I need to be seen at every, party that you get invited to. I don't need to do that. But
no.
what I treasure and love is, you know, you put a group of people around a table and you know that everyone's interested in each other.
Mm.
Um,
And they honor and they
it's really
respect it.
important.
It's not transactional.
Yeah.
They're there because they're committed and they want to be there and they want to know you and they want to, share in that moment with you, which is so
Yes.
beautiful. And that comes out strongly in your book as well. Like even the
Thank you.
reading it, like how could I not? This is the only book that I brought here, by the way. The
Oh, I
actual
love that.
everything's still in
Thank you.
boxes. But the
Oh,
first
thank
thing
you.
I did was put this on my new bookshelf and then put big
Oh, you're very
roses and
sweet.
a candle next to it. And then I walk past. It's that thing, like you said, it's that thing you walk past and you're like, you don't know why it brings you joy, but it just brings you joy. And I think the
Oh,
reason why this book brought me so much joy is because, as you're aware, and we've had the conversation before, I have been very much a nomad and not like never really like I appreciate beautiful things, but I've never invested in things because I'm always moving and there's a few
yeah.
things that I do treasure and I take them with me endlessly. Like for example, my books and my plants, and there's this beautiful mouth-blown seashell that I just cannot live
Lovely.
without, sort of thing. But this book opened me up to a whole new aspect of myself that I didn't even know, where I thought to myself, I do want that. Like you said, having a home and having collecting items that make you feel the way that these things make you feel when you walk past them. Like, how precious is that to have that in your world? And I didn't realize how important that was. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because it's
Oh,
making me want to put roots down and open up a side of me where because I love art and I love beautiful things, you know what I mean? And I want to have a beautiful home that contains all those gorgeous things that I collect, where you can sit down at the end of the night and have a hot racy chocolate and sit there and go, with a good book and feel like home. So
yeah. But you
yeah,
know what? I think, uh, but in the flip of that, so if that's triggered that within you, that's lovely. But the flip of that is also there'll be lots of people that will look to what you're doing, um, and think that that's amazing. The freedom to go. And I think that's what I'm trying to say with the book, that there is no right or wrong. So
no,
if you're
yeah.
magic, and Samantha Wills, who you've
That's
interviewed,
yeah, that
there's a
I
little
valued that. Yeah.
there's a section on nomadic cocooning, which I think is where you're at. And and she was the same and put all of her stuff in New York into storage or sold lots of things to free up the headspace to go and experience different things. And at some point, I definitely want to be able to do the same. Um, so I think it's, I think it's about hopefully an appreciation that there is no right or wrong way to live. So if at the moment you're much lighter in terms of what you're carrying around you, I think that's for, excuse me, I'm gonna cough. Oh, I've got a
You're
frog in my
right.
throat. Excuse me, I can feel a real tickle
You're
coming on
right.
there. I think that's for, you're doing that for a reason. And that's a moment in time in your life that you can decide when it doesn't feel right to keep traveling anymore, or it might do
Mm,
forever.
mm.
And you might just have a slightly other, one more suitcase with a few more things. I don't think there's a right or wrong. I mean, we've been in our house literally for, since before Gracie was born. And we haven't moved and we've looked to move and for whatever reason didn't happen. And I think we've kind of come full circle. And, probably one day we will, but we're really happy. And
Yeah,
yet I've got
yeah.
friends that move every 4 years. There isn't a
Wow,
right
okay.
or wrong. And I think also sort of size wise, I think, and this was also really important to me in the industry, that I think it's very easy for others to get swept up into thinking that their homes aren't good enough. Because when you
Oh,
flick through all the glossy mags or
of
lovely other,
course.
interior books, you see all these beautiful places. But the reality is you don't have to have a very big space for that to be absolutely exquisite. And Katrina's house in the book was, she's living in the back of her showroom. And it's
Mm,
literally living in one room. And that was another space that is one of the most inspirational spaces I think I've ever stepped foot in. Um, and within that
wow.
sort of one tiny showroom area, she's managed to fit in
Wow.
a couple of beds, a roll top bath, an Aga, beautiful, great big George Smith sofa that she's, you know, made bespoke with all her own textiles and things. I mean, it's incredible.
Wow.
But she's basically living in the showroom to her shop.
I love
Um,
that.
so, but there's no that interiors doesn't need to be elitist, and I think it's very easy for people to feel quickly that their homes aren't good enough, which can then stop people inviting others in. Whereas I think whether you live in a caravan or whether you live in a castle, you you just want to create that. That's why feelings are so important, because I think you
Mm,
just want to create the sort of ambience or the welcome that you do want to put a tablecloth on your table, or serve up something lovely for supper to a friend, and that doesn't matter if your space is really weeny or really palatial. It just
mm.
doesn't. It's about bringing those people together, isn't it?
A
So
hundred
I,
percent. Like when on my travels to Queensland, I stayed at a working station, a cattle station, and it was a tiny little I guess you call it a cottage. It was so small, but it was filled with quality, beautiful, like the sheets were divine. Like it was this
gorgeous.
beautiful linen and like those Scottish blankets that you can get there.
Yeah,
There's a name for it, but it was so tiny, but it was filled with the most beautiful. I could live in this easy. Could totally live in this because it was um it was the space that was created within the container of those walls. So it didn't
yeah.
have to be large and it didn't. Me personally, I would freak out if I had a huge house. I wouldn't know how to fill it.
No,
I mean,
and
I
also
just call you.
the upkeep. No, but the upkeep of that as well.
Oh, the
I,
house
I am
cleaning. Yeah.
I definitely
The
do.
dust.
I love houses that you go in where you feel that every room is actually used. I think
Yes,
we're on three
yes.
levels, and I
It's
think our
been
house
lived
has four
in.
apartments, but it's really lived in.
Yeah. I could live
Um,
in your beautiful little nook there. I love the wooden beams on the
oh, thank you.
your books and
You're at
I
the top
love
of the
it
house
so
up
much.
there.
It's so
Oh,
gorgeous. It's your
thank
sanctuary,
you.
your little safe space there by the looks of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I have to ask you, when I was doing research on you, did you style a shoot for Iris Apfel? Iconic.
I didn't style her shoot. It was Roger Soul took those amazing pictures, but I was very lucky to interview her,
My
and
God.
we had a remote call. She was in her house in Palm Beach, um, Yeah,
Oh
that
my
was a proper. Yeah, we haven't
God.
talked about this, have we at all? That was a real career moment for me because I have
Oh
adored
my
her for years, and it's so sad
God.
she's no longer here.
Oh.
Um, so sad. But
So
yeah, she was.
what did it teach you like about style, longevity, fearlessness? Because that is what she is. So what
Oh,
did the
honestly,
moment gift you?
it taught me to persevere because I couldn't get hold of her. So I knew I wanted. So I'd clocked that she had a new book coming out. Gosh, this is going back a few years. And I couldn't get through to anybody at the publishers, her couldn't find an agent. It kind of went through, I don't know, about 10 different people to finally get, I actually did track down her agent, who put me in
Wow.
contact with the right person,
What? Oh my
at the
God. I
publishing
love your
house,
perseverance in
Felicity.
everything.
And I've still got it. I've got her on my phone. She was happy for me to record the conversation. I've still got that. And she was such an amazing woman. There was no nonsense. I think she probably didn't in some ways have a lot of time for journalists that asked airy fairy questions. But if you got under her skin with her, she was so open. And yeah, utterly divine. And I think, I think her husband was the love of her life. And when he
Oh
died,
no.
they
Oh
had this incredible textile and antique business together. And they had literally warehouses filled with all the containers of all this incredible stuff that they used to source. And her house in Manhattan, which we were writing about, was packed. It was sort of head to toe collections of everything. And I think when her husband sadly died, she was asked to do an exhibition at the Met, and it ended up being around her clothes, and she sort of just took on this new lease of life.
mm.
Um, and her career kind of kick-started again. She became this
Wow.
incredible fashion icon. And she said to me that she surrounded herself with, I guess by the time you sort of got to, I don't know how old she was when she died. I think it was 102. It was over
Wow.
100.
That's
Um,
incredible.
but she surrounded herself with lots of young people and lots of creative people,
Oh,
and again of all genres and walks of life. She wasn't a snob. She was the most down to earth, had really strong opinions in our interview, but I loved her for that. Um, and had been brave. She'd been very brave in her career. And she's, I think it was definitely, I was a bit younger then. It was definitely a real pivotal moment thinking again, gosh, you you just have to keep reinventing yourself. I think 20 years ago, women in their 50s were sort of slightly pushed aside, weren't they? Whereas I think now we're all really taking control of how we
love
feel
it.
and
Love
looking
it.
after our well-being and hormone, all that stuff that I think, triggers and hits in your mid 40s onwards,
Yeah,
menopause, all of that. I think we're all taking control back for ourselves, and
love that.
the need to be fearless is really important because, I think we're just getting going.
Yes.
And I really do. But I think you've got to want that. And if you don't want that, it's not, that's your choice and that's not an issue.
Mm,
But I think if you have a desire to see more, be more, sort of not stop conversations with gorgeous people. And that's why I think another reason why I love what I do,
yeah.
that I get to have these conversations and meetings and interactions with people that I really admire.
Mm.
But you do have to put the mileage in to get those conversations to happen. Those
100%.
relationships
Yeah.
are precious. Um,
Yeah. What an experience. Were you nervous when you interviewed her? Like, were you
yes, I was
anxious?
really
Yeah.
nervous. Um, and I knew because I know she talks really fast. But she did talk really fast and very you have to really tune into her New York
Oh,
accent.
wow.
So I knew I needed to record it, and I was paranoid that my recording was
Oh,
not going to have worked. So I mean, obviously making notes while we chatted. I don't normally record my conversations, but I thought I have
yeah.
to record
Yeah,
for
it's
fear of
so
missing stuff.
important.
But it was fine. And then we just had this amazing thing that we sort of picked the call up, and then she's walking, and I've still got this vision of her walking through her Palm Beach home to her sun lounger, and then her sort of settling herself. You know, she was an old lady when we chatted, really,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and quite amazing. And we did chat about um, what she would do with her Palm Beach house, whether what the legacy would be for that and her Manhattan home. And I would love to know what does happen or what has happened. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Wow. I could
Because I
just
think in a
imagine. Sorry, you go.
no, go on.
I was just going to say, imagine the energy of being in the presence of somebody like that, like what that would
Oh,
do
it's
to you.
incredible.
Yeah,
Yes,
being
incredible. And I think it's a
deeply.
bit like going to like somewhere like Georgia O'Keeffe's house or Kettle's
Oh,
Yard in Cambridge, you know, or Charleston House with the Bloomsbury Group. You know, when you walk into those spaces, you can feel the energy. And I would love, um, they didn't have a family, so I don't know what will happen with the or has happened with the properties, but they would have been the most amazing places for you to
mm,
go and, you know, open up as a museum. Um, yeah, she was a really
wow.
special lady. I treasure that conversation.
Oh, and
Um,
I love that you got to do that so early in the piece of your career as well, because just
yeah,
walking away
well,
from doing something like that and what that would do to you and to be so inspired and to feed that like that hunger of just delving more into that world is incredible. And being around
she
people like
invited
that.
me to go for tea, to come to New York and go for tea with
Oh,
her.
love
And I think,
that.
oh, I wish I'd actually just got on a flight and gone and done that. I would have
Oh,
loved to have
oh my
sat down
God,
with her. I
yes. Every time
think
I
that's a
see one of your
lesson.
posts of your book launches and then those beautiful castles, are they called chalets? What are they called? The last one that you like from Downton, it looked like something from Downton Abbey. Your last.
Cromlix was a really beautiful,
Oh my gosh, I
yes,
was like, I
and the Pig were really beautiful, beautiful hotels that are lovely old family homes.
oh,
Yeah, they're
I was like, I just want to get on a plane and come be there with you.
oh, yes, you should. Yeah, you absolutely should. I think we take that for granted. I think you know, we're so lucky that we've grown up around um, such amazing, you know, architecture, really. We are lucky. There's a lot of history here. We do take it for
It
granted.
looks like a storybook. That's what it looks like. It just looks so
Yeah.
surreal to me. Like to be able to experience that something like that, I would feel like I am in a storybook if I was there.
Oh, and I think you do need it. And then
So old world.
the Pig last week, I think they're a hotel group over here where we did one of the book events. And they have bought sort of several, where they've got quite a lot of hotels in their chain now, but the most incredible old family homes. And they're really clever how they do the interiors. And you do feel as if you feel like you're walking into, you know, a very, very beautiful home if it was yours. But the atmosphere and the other thing that they really got right was the staffing. In fact, Cromlix and the Pig were both exactly the same. It's about the people.
Mm,
And I think
yes.
again, the older you get, you sort of the more experience you have with service industry, you know when it's good and you know when it's bad.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
has such a profound impact on the atmosphere, doesn't it? Um,
I wish people, team leaders would have that awareness of just how important it is to
yes,
stack your team with the most people that do not have the skills that you have and that know quality and how to treat people with quality and make them
yeah,
feel the most special person in the world because that's how everybody wants to feel. Um, but I just don't understand that they don't get that that's the answer to,
no.
yeah, having people wanting
Yeah,
to
you
come
almost
back.
need to be interviewing, don't you, for I think all different personality types. Because I think with that, you know, it's a bit like the head and the heart thing in the book, you know,
Mm,
opposites opposites do attract, and you need that push
Mm,
and pull to realize what good is. So you need
100%.
some driven by one thing and others driven by another. But I think it's when you bring all of that together, the magic happens. And it is magical when
Exactly.
it's right, when spaces feel right. I think that it's magical for everybody involved because I think people open up. It was the same with we did a lovely event with Petersham Nurseries in back in when the book came out in June. Um, and that's the most incredibly magical place in the heart of London. You've sort
Wow.
of got this incredible, they call it a nursery, but it's basically a sort of a its most incredible lifestyle place, which is built around a nursery concept. The most
Wow.
amazing shop, most amazing
Oh, God,
restaurants,
I'd never want to
and
leave.
oh, it's just divine. And every single detail by the team is considered. And I think it's such a treat, isn't it? You said about, how nice it was to stay somewhere with beautiful plaid blankets and linen sheets.
Mm.
And I think when you sit down for afternoon tea in the cafe and the china's considered and the glass feels good and the cushion you're sat on is wonderful.
Oh my
it,
God.
it has it has such a profound impact on how you feel and how your senses react to that.
It
Um,
makes you feel so valued. So
yes, it
valued.
does make you feel valued. Yeah.
Yeah. Like even the place I stayed at, it's something so simple, but like the citronella candles that you get, and it was done with non-toxic ingredients and everything like that. But just opening it up and seeing that it wasn't used, like even
Oh, it's so
something
nice.
so small
Yeah.
can make
Yes.
you feel so valued. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
yeah, so I agree with you. Like everything
Is
sitting
that to
down
keep
and
your bugs away? Yes. Oh, so I was like horrified about I really need to come and visit Australia, but the prospect of the enormous spiders and all the bugs does
the
slightly freak
huntsman,
me out.
the
I'd have
huntsman's,
your
the
stitch full of
snakes,
candles in my case.
oh my God, just your local python in your trees. Do you know what I
Oh
mean?
my
Like, and the
goodness.
cockroaches here are like with antennas.
Oh, oh no. Yeah, we don't have that. It's funny.
It is a very wild, wild land, isn't it? Very wild. And I guess
But again,
if
it's such a nice experience talking
it
to
is,
different
yeah, and
people. That's your norm, isn't it? Koalas are your norm, kangaroos are
yes,
your norm. For us,
yes,
that's sort of lovely
yeah.
storybook stuff. But
But
it's
you
it's yeah,
you do take it for like even when I come back to Queensland and everywhere's got like it's like somebody went around and threw jacaranda purple flowers all over cars and frangipanis and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in Alice in Wonderland and the locals are just like, well, it's the norm. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, it's
yeah,
not. You've got flowers sprinkled all over your car.
it's so funny. Yeah, it's funny. But it's really,
Oh,
and I think that would just I bet you notice that with your work, that just by almost shifting your energy to different locations, you probably really feel that with
100%.
how you create.
Yes,
Um,
beauty is so important to me. Like not beauty as in beauty, but beauty as in what I find is beautiful in the
yeah,
world. So, look, this has been above and beyond my expectations with this conversation. You've just given me so much of your time and so much gold and so much beauty and such depth and authenticity in this conversation. So I appreciate you, Ali, so much. I
oh,
appreciate our
you.
connection so much. So,
I do
um,
too, darling. Thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate
oh,
it.
I have one more question though.
Yes.
Seeing as that you are our cover feature for Creating the Muse, and the issue is the elements, which was the theme designed around your essence. So, and that's what's happened is I've thread that theme all the way through all the different stories, the spotlight features, and everything, and stacked it in a way that underpins your theme. But I guess the last question I have for you is what does creating the muse mean to you? And where do you find your muse today? And how has she evolved over the years? I think we've already discussed this, but what does
I
creating
think
the muse mean to you?
I think the biggest sort of short and sweet answer is don't stop cultivating your curiosity.
Mm,
I think stay open to new ideas, stay open to new thinking, stay open to meeting new people and not closing yourself off from the world.
mm,
Um, Sort of live with your eyes open and your heart
mm.
big and full. And I think that probably sounds a bit corny, but
No, I love it.
I think inspiration is everywhere, and I think you don't have to have a lot to let your creativity sort of run free. You just have to allow yourself to let that happen. So I think, yeah, listen to your heart, follow your intuition. I think stay very attuned to who you are as a person, because I think if you're true to yourself, you will attract people who also are. And I think if you try and
Mm,
play at
mm.
being something you're not, it will come and bite you on the bum. Um, I think you have to, yeah, value your own energy, and indulge your passions, in the
Indulge
way
your
that
passions. I
where
love
you
that.
dream of. You can start small, and I think I'm testimony to that. Um, I think probably most of the people you've interviewed we have all started from a sort of quite humble beginnings and just build slowly. And there's nothing wrong with building your career slowly. But if you are passionate about it, then you know that will bring happiness, and joy, sort of in abundance. Really, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's beautifully said. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Where can people find your incredible? I know I think got mine from Booktopia, but if you want to,
On my Instagram, there's a link,
I
and it
love
does
it.
international links for where you can purchase, and it's also on my website. You
Oh,
can
incredible.
There's a link tree sort of thing where you can access by country.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, you've thought of everything. I love that. And I'm going to have to get the other. I need the complete set now.
I will send you the others. I will when you're
It can't
ready to
not have.
receive
Every time
parcels.
there's a photo that you're posting and people have got three of them stacked nicely somewhere, I'm like, oh my God, I need this set.
Yeah, I will send you. I will organize
Oh,
that. You should have
it's
them
so
already. Apology.
beautiful. Oh my God,
Um,
no, I appreciate that so much.
oh, well,
But
thank you
thank you
very much for
again.
having me.
And what was your Instagram handle before?
It's Ali
Take note.
Heath underscore UK.
Amazing. Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you, darling. Thank you very
Bye.
much. Take care. Thank you for having me on.